Hey everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to the late edition of Form Check Friday. Had a whole bunch of running around to do. The live stream was popping off earlier. You guys should come on over to twitch.tv/Calgary Barbell. We do live form checks every Friday. Most Fridays. We are the world's most consistently inconsistent live stream. But anyways, head over to Twitch. Come check us out. We have a blast there. We do Q&A form checks every week, or mostly every week. But without further ado, we'll dive into it. Welcome to Form Check Friday. This is the series where we take your user-submitted videos, viewer-submitted videos rather, and throw them up on the screen behind me. We kind of try to break things down and get everybody lifting a little bit more efficiently, try to give people things to consider when they're trying to hone their technique and become more efficient with their lifting. So hopefully this helps. If you want to submit for Form Check Friday, make sure to email formcheckfriday@gmail.com. It's pretty straightforward. I'm going to say that one more time, formcheckfriday@gmail.com. We still get the odd submission to our other emails, and unfortunately those just don't get put into the list here. We have almost 1,000 email submissions right now. We use a random number generator to just pull them out. We pick them, we put them up. So it's kind of a lottery-based system, but that's honestly the only way we can do it with this many submissions. So thanks everybody who has submitted. But if you're looking to ensure that you get chosen, come to that live stream. All right, our first one here comes from Chris Barbell. And he's got a bunch of context here. So we're gonna kind of read through his email and give y'all a little bit of background information on Chris here. So he says, really loves the videos, find them very helpful. He's 15 years old, turning 16 next week, weighs about 80 kilos. Been struggling with bench press since he started powerlifting in March of this year. 70 kilo squat, 75 kilo bench, and 100 kilo deadlift. Now 7 months later, squatted 160 3 days ago, solid gains. Is gonna deadlift 180 next week, with the bench is only 95 kilos. 20 kilos on the bench isn't bad. Failed 100 kilos like 6 or 7 times, he says. I think it's not a strength issue. It's more of a technique issue. These are his words. At heavy weights, my form starts to break down and I think I lose tightness at the bottom of the lift. He says he's got longer arms and also has to push for a longer range of motion. Included banded and pause benches into my programs, but I still can't get that 100 kilo bench. He says he included a 90 kilo bench press where he thinks his form is good, a 95 kilo where his form breaks down, but he still gets it, and 2 of the 100 kilo fails. He hopes he can get good results with our advice and hopes that we can help him. Not a long-time viewer, but watched a lot of our videos already, and I'm pretty insecure about his bench. Decided to try his luck with the Form Check Friday series. Says thanks in advance. He's planning to compete sometime in the future, has potential. If his numbers... So we're gonna take a look at his bench here today and kind of break this down. He's got a couple of videos attached of the bench specifically. So let's pull these bad boys up here. Boom. All right, so this is 90 kilos, he says, with good form. So let's take a look at what we've got going on here. So first off, one of the things I would investigate is, okay, are you able to bench better with a wider grip, right? Benching with a wider grip will allow you to help trim that range of motion a little bit. The other big thing, and you said this is one of your good form ones. So we're good to about this point in the range of motion, but then you'll notice from here to here, we get really loose and just drop the bar. So good, boof, really like kind of hammering into that bounce. And what's happening there is a lot of the arch, a lot of the setup, a lot of the tightness that you've created in the shoulder and upper back here is gonna collapse as that bar kind of falls onto your chest, right? So number one, we wanna stay tighter throughout more of the lift. That bounce is likely not very productive in terms of creating repeatability and consistency in your press. So that would be definitely something I would investigate. Now, this is one where he says his technique broke down, but he got it anyways. So let's take a look at the 95 kilo here. He's pretty good. He's actually pretty good out of the rack. So you can see that he's got somebody giving him a handoff there, and it looks like she's doing a good job helping him out of the rack. He doesn't have to sort of lose his shoulder positioning, which is one concern when we're talking about unracking from pins like this, big J hooks, where honestly there's one here, and they're probably 3 or 4 inches apart. So it can be tough to find a good like rack height on these style of benches for sure. So he's good out of the rack. Now let's see. So yeah, again, really dumps the bar into the chest. Head picks up. I think honestly, man, you need to stop worrying about the numbers so much. You need to dial that bench back and get more practice in with a lighter touch and more control to the chest. That's gonna be a big, big thing. That dump there, and we can even, if we watch it slowly, you can see that bar actually goes out away from you, which is essentially the antithesis of good bench bar path. That's the word of the day for everybody, antithesis. Watch this, boom. So you can see instead of coming back, it starts back and then it goes boop, forward out, and then he's really got to recover to drive that bar back, try to find tightness in the upper back and put it back into the slot to be able to finish. So again, really, really loose. Now I think I kind of know what we're gonna see on some of these fail videos where we're missing that rep. So again, super narrow grip, and I can see that here, like really narrow grip. So here is the ring on the bar. So that means you're closer than my close grip bench. Now that's not inherently a bad thing. A long range of motion isn't inherently more difficult. You have to do more work to move it through longer range of motion, but some people are better with a closer grip, and that's fine. But it looks like you've got a pretty good arch, like a decent setup, good amount of shoulder retraction. I feel like if you even just incorporate some wide grip bench into your programming, you might find that wide grip bench variation starts to climb up above your comp bench here. So again, man, just like you're just dropping the bar on your chest. You need to practice with lighter weights. You need to get more control and consistency to and from the chest. Because when you drop the bar like that, there's no tightness in the upper back. You're lifting your head up, which means this is happening. You're like dumping your chest, and then the bar is just bouncing off of you in whatever direction it's going. Boom. Yeah. So there's no hope, man. There's no way to recover from that. So stop trying 100 kilos 6 to 7 times. Spend more time training with, so it's easy because the max here is like 95 to 100 kilos. So do more work with 80 kilos. Do a bunch of sets of 3 to 5 in that 80 kilo range, like a bunch of volume. Get it in, man, get it in. Practice heavy singles in the like 90 kilo range, and don't dump them into your chest. That is my advice, and I really hope that helps you. Our next one comes from Steve. G'day from Melbourne, Australia, Bryce. That's as far as my Australian impersonation goes. G'day. That's it. Otherwise, it's going to turn into some like weird, like English Russian mix. I don't know. Not good at the Australian accent. Not that matters. Largely self-taught through our Calgary Barbell videos. Uploads and other online clips. Lifting for around 5 months with steady progress. Video is a 3-rep max effort at 150 kilos. Happy for you to slaughter my technique as I'm looking to develop better lifting. Thank you for your regular contributions to the lifting world via YouTube. You're very welcome, Steve. We do it for you guys and gals, for y'all. All right, Steve. Let's see what's cracking. So it looks like we're doing some deadlifts here. It's 150 kilos for triple. He says this is sort of a 3-rep max attempt, so we can probably expect to see a little bit of technique breakdown, some things start to go wrong a little bit. Damn, dude, that's a pretty clean first rep. Pretty clean second rep. And another pretty clean rep. That's a 3-rep max? Come on. No, it's good. That's what the kids call staying in the pocket. But yeah, that looked like a solid like 9 RPE, 8.5 maybe even. And that's a great place to train. I think that what was it, Chris? I think you need to spend more time in that 8 to 9 RPE range, my man. So, I mean, the one thing that we can kind of critique here is we're getting a little bit of hip rise. I feel like your setup here is really good. One thing I might try to do is bring your grip in just a tiny bit. It's gonna help you get, a little bit more upright before you're having to break that bar off the floor, and ideally help you increase your positioning advantage against the bar before you initiate the lift. But throughout the lift, you're doing a great job. You're holding the lats nice and tight. You're getting a good full lockout. You're not too far forward or too far back. I think the one big thing is going to be just a little more sort of push and patience off the floor. So right here you can see we end up really losing that hip angle. So I would work from here, and I mean, it looks like you're doing a good job of keeping that lat tightness, keeping those shoulders kind of locked down, but really think about just like pushing, whoop, where'd my arrow go? There we go. Really think about just pushing the floor away as opposed to thinking about pulling back, if that makes sense. And just take your time off the floor. Try not to rush it, because as soon as you rush it, whoop, that's when the butt kind of comes up behind you. Honestly though, pretty damn good pulls, man. And especially for a 3 rep max, I'm assuming that means this is something you kind of haven't done before. Things are looking good, Steve. Things are looking good. So keep it up. You know, keep being really good with load selection, because that was something that I think was really good there. And yeah, you got a long, excellent road ahead of you, man. Next, from Ethan Sanders. Hey Bryce, I've been following the Calgary Barbell channel for a while, love all awesome content. Your form videos have been incredibly helpful, and the video diaries have also been great to keep up with. I was hoping you could take a look at my bench for one of your Form Check Friday vids. For context, I've been competing in powerlifting USAPL for about a year, and have competed in 2 meets with my most recent total of 597.5 kilos. Nice total at the beginning of June. Planning on competing again in August with the goal of making nationals next year. Nice, man. USAPL nationals is no joke. My bench max is currently pretty far behind the other 2 lifts. Best I've done at a meet is only 125 kilos, although I've hit 130 touch and go in the gym. Would appreciate any and all feedback. One thing I do know that needs a lot of work is engaging leg drive more effectively. The video he submitted is 245 for a set of 6 at about an 8 RPE, 245 pounds. Ethan. All right, buddy, let's take a look here. It's a little potato quality on the footage, but that's all good. So if you guys are noticing, the videos that we select are gonna be the ones that have a little bit more context, that have a little bit more, hey, here's who I am, here's where I'm at, here's some issues that I think I have. Those kinds of things make it a lot more possible for me to do a good job giving some advice and some guidance. So let's take a look here. We're gonna restart this set. It looks to me like your shoulders are really shrugged up throughout. So you're decent here. And then I feel like, yeah, okay. So as soon as you unrack, you can see we go from shoulders back to shoulders way forward, and then we don't ever get the shoulders depressed. So we're missing depression here. More depression. We need more depression, Ethan. So yeah, I think the big thing is more in the shoulders than it is the leg drive, but they do contribute to one another, because basically what creates the arch is the leg drive this way and the depression of the shoulders this way. And then that pushes the chest up, right? So that's kind of how we set up in terms of the upper back and the leg drive pressure to get the chest up to trim the range of motion. Now, if we watch through the rest of this set, we're kind of struggling to figure out just how tucked the elbows need to be. And then when we press back, we're way up high here and super shrugged up. So I would try doing some practice with not only pausing your reps more. Yeah, so you didn't say that this was touch and go, which means this might be the way that you're training regularly. In which case I would say anything like 6 and under, we should be pausing. As long as it's competition bench, right? Obviously there's, you know, if it's touch and go as a variation, then that's different. But yeah, I think the big thing here is gonna be getting shoulder depression. That's gonna help you feel your leg drive a little bit better, because your leg drive is then gonna contribute to that shoulder depression and feel like the leg drive is helping steady and stabilize you. And pause those reps, my man. What's going on with the shoulder in terms of like that little bit of tuck and a little bit of flare, the bar path, those things are really good, but we gotta get more depression to start off with instead of being really shrugged up here. I think that just puts you at a disadvantage. And it also causes you to have to go through a lot of range of motion, because you're touching pretty high up on the chest, right? If you can get those shoulder blades down, that touch point can come down, the chest can come up, we're trimming the range of motion, we're putting the shoulder in a bit of a better leverage advantage position, and a lot of good things will happen. So try that out, and hopefully you can get somebody to hand off so you don't have to like really reach those shoulders out when you're unracking. Again, those are the dog hair I love. Those are the pitfalls of having that kind of rack, unfortunately. Our next one comes from Termenzor. He or she says, apologies first for the portrait mode. It's Trent. Have to learn my FOD, doesn't say in landscape mode. Been lifting for about 5 months, recently switched to a lower bar position. Goal is to get stronger, potentially switch to powerlifting or strongman. Second email, I'm an idiot and didn't attach the video. Cheers, Trent. All right, Trent, let's take a look at this low bar. So he switched to a lower bar position. Depth looks like it could use some work. There you go. We're getting into it by the end of the set there. And upper back position. So, like right now we can see these elbows are like way far out behind. I would like to see, as you get into the squat, I'd like to see the elbow come more in line with the trunk. Because generally speaking, when the elbow's back like that, you can kind of see, maybe you can kind of see, but it pushes the shoulder forward, right? Let me get into this like sort of forward translation of the shoulder. Whereas when the elbow's down, a lot of times it helps us get into that tighter upper back position, helps us do a lot of things better with the upper back. So that's the reason I recommend that, or at least investigating that. There you go. So as you came out of the bottom, you kind of, your torso angle moved a little bit, you shifted a little bit, and then the elbows came in line. And that's the other thing I think that we could work on, is allowing a little bit of a steeper torso angle, or sorry, a less steep torso angle, a more closer to horizontal torso angle. So push that butt back a little bit. I still think it looks like you're trying to squat high bar with a low bar position. You know, hinge those hips back a little more, just a tiny bit more. And I think that'll help you get depth a little more consistently too. So upper back position, work on the depth, and push those hips back. Like the last few squats are probably your best of the set, but we're still kind of way back here with the shoulder, with the elbows at the top. So I think we can do a fair bit of work to try to tighten up that upper back, and I think that'll go a long ways as well. All right. Okay, that's Trent. Our last one comes from Matisse maybe. Matisse Pesovnik comes from Slovenia. Shout outs to Slovenia. Started working out in the gym quite a few years ago as a tool to lose some excessive weight, but I've only recently started training with a concrete goal in mind. Never competed, but wants to do his first meet, his or her first meet, end of October. Have only now started training following the 5-3-1 program. I did 5-3-1 in my first meet. Right now I am about 93 kilos and I'm 186 centimeters tall. Sorry about the video is not in landscape mode because I filmed it. You're looking at your submission guidelines. Blah, 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 blah. In the video I did an AMRAP with a goal of at least 3 reps. Did the lift with 90 kilos, managed to do 5 reps with what felt like good form. In retrospect, looking at the video, I think I had a few reps left in me, but I felt like my lower back was starting to give out on me at the beginning of the lift, so I called it a day instead of risking injury. Also looking at the video, I think at the beginning of the first rep, my hips shoot up, but a bit later this seems to correct itself, at least to some degree. Otherwise, my untrained eye does not see any significant errors. Maybe I can engage my lats a little bit more, but I find that quite difficult due to a limitation of my mobility in the starting position of the deadlift. All right. So Matisse, I'm just gonna say Matisse. Let's see what's going on with the deadlift here. Things are pretty good. I think you might be, that's a bit better. I think you're doing a pretty good job with your lats, honestly. I think you could be a little bit more patient off the floor. Like I think you're starting to try to pull back. Maybe not. That third rep, I think you started to pull back a little bit too early. Looks pretty damn solid, man. I would say honestly, like that feeling like your lower back is gonna give out is probably just your lower back working. You know, the low back is full of muscles that we need to strengthen like any other part of our body. I think people have a bit of a fear, right? Of injuring their low back, especially when it comes to deadlifts. That's been kind of a stigma for a long time. But I think it's a lot more, I think it's a lot less of an issue than maybe people think it is. You know, honestly, one of the best things you can do for your back is deadlift and train it and make it stronger, right? It makes it more resilient to injury. So I would definitely say you had more reps in the tank here. I think that it's tough to say from this angle, but you might be better served with a bit of a wider stance. It'll allow you to get that last little bit of extension, so you're not having to get that extension at the top, which a lot of times can make your low back feel like it's burning a little bit more, or like working a little bit harder, because it is, right? Whereas if we can lock that back into a bit more neutral position, then we finish with the hips. It's a little bit more of a hinge kind of thing. But it looks like you're doing a good job with the lats. You're getting a good push off the floor. I can see that if we watch very closely, just in the feet here, as you come through, it looks like you're a little bit on the toes on some reps. That rep you were a little bit on the heels. So I would work on trying to kind of claw the ground. Imagine that my hands here are your feet, and you want to like, yeah, bite into the ground with your feet. And that can help correct a lot of things up the chain if we can get those feet working a little bit better. But I can see that we're kind of rocking around a little bit forward, a little bit backward. Try to keep nice even pressure through the feet as we pull. Don't neglect that forefoot. A lot of the times I cue people further back on their heels, but I still definitely try to coach people into that front and back pressure, kind of whole foot pressure. So yeah, hopefully that gives you a couple things to think about. I would definitely think about wider and see if going wider allows you to externally rotate the hips a little bit more and get a little more open, and try to get that back a little flatter. Again, and we say this in the live stream all the time, I don't coach a flat back, or don't try to get people to achieve a flat back, because it's an injury mechanic. You know, in our live stream every week we go over this. Flexion is not necessarily a mechanic for injury. Everybody say it with me. Flexion is not necessarily a mechanic for injury. Okay, good. So yeah, that is our Form Check Friday for today. Apologies for getting this out a little bit later than usual, but hey, it's a busy weekend. We got a meet going on at the Strength Edge. If you're in Calgary, come on down Sunday, September 22nd, and check out the Calgary Barbell Open 2019. It's gonna be some good lifting, some good prizes. And yeah, that's it. If you want to submit, formcheckfriday@gmail.com. Make sure to stop by our live streams every Friday, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks for tuning in.